Hello, everyone, wherever you live, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is that you're watching this recording. Welcome in. It's a beautiful day, and hopefully, we'll be sharing something with you that may bring a few insights or understanding of the Making Space uh, retreat week, 2 week period that we're doing here. So, this is the embodiment section of the program and will help you understand in terms of making space in your head and your mental time frame and your mindset. Um, so we're going to start with something here. And what I'd like you to do in your journal or notes, hopefully you've got a pen and paper on the side, and start writing down what you see in detail, specific, what you feel from what I'm about to show you, and what it brings up for you in terms of ideas or insights or new concepts along the way, whatever you're seeing. So, this is something I walked by while we were on out by the lake, and it just struck me as hilarious. So let's see what you think about this absolutely incredible image. So, what do you see? What do you feel? What ideas are raised by this random log in the woods that looks rather funny? I would love to hear your thoughts on this and see what it is that sparks the interest that this sparked in me when I took the picture of it. It was a lot of fun. So I'm certainly interested to hear your thoughts on it. And please write them down and, you know, maybe even pause the video as here as you want to really write down, get deep into what does this lead to? What is this showing you now? Go ahead and pause the video here and we'll start in just a second. Hey, wasn't that fun? Okay, so things happen. Random ideas appear randomly. Our brains are constantly looking for different ideas. Our brain notices thousands of things that you never consciously see or consciously experience. Patterns, tiny changes, experiences, relationships, and opportunities. So, what I noticed about that last image was the pattern of that log looked like some kind of alligator or crocodile, had a one eye and a on its cheek had a big um scar, and it was eating a rock and it had its tongue sticking out. It just, to me, it looked really intriguing, and it led me to where in our lives we have crocodiles that show up along the way. There's patterns that show up in our lives that reflect these images, these patterns I see in the wilderness. And in your subconscious, your brain connects the dots. So this is all about connecting dots. When pattern recognition actually reaches your awareness, magic emerges. This is really, really interesting. Some of the amazing things that you see in the wilderness, like this wild rose, is um, is great. It was at a distance, and when I zoomed in the background faded away, and this flower and the buds came into sharp relief. This is what happens when sometimes you mentally kind of blur the background, blur what's going on in the area. What comes out is something sharp and clear and absolutely spectacular. So let me give you a little example of that because it's usually a little difficult to understand. So I was working with a colleague of mine, and we were in his office, and he had a whiteboard, and he was noting down all kinds of different um, thoughts that he had. And he and I were just brainstorming ideas, concepts, and so on. And luckily, he was a fairly understanding guy, which is great because um, I was listening to every word he was saying, and I was not getting anything. So in an instant, I blurred what he was saying. So I was hearing the tone of the voice and I was hearing the words, but I was not connecting and not focused specifically on the words themselves. I was looking at patterns in my brain. I was looking at what was in my subconscious that was rising up around what he was saying. And I can't remember what it was that came out of all of that. But he looked at me, he said, "Where did that come from?" I came up with some like absolutely brilliant connection of the dots that he was blown away by because I blurred the background. I blurred the the words, the tone of voice and so on. And I was connecting dots. I was connecting dots that related to baking a cake, that related to a birthday party that I had been at, that related to a social engagement. It wasn't the topic that he was talking about, but it all related because there were connecting dots in the background. And sometimes when you just blur the background, you get these brilliant clicks that come out in from your subconscious because the brain is noticing all the time. And you make space by noticing noise because that inner knowing, that being able to blur the background and start to actually listen and hear what's going on is always there. It's never disappeared. But what happens is sometimes there's noise in the background. We have deadlines. We have notifications pinging all the time on our cell phones and our computers and so on. We have different opinions from different people swaying around us all the time. We have voices in our head from years ago, from lessons we learned along the way in life, from stress. We overthink things. We have busyness going on. And when everything gets louder, our inner guidance, that blurring part, becomes harder to hear. And that's why we've spent time with you in this current bundle series of the Downtime Springboard mini retreat, releasing pressure. Because if you can't release the pressure, then you can't hear how to find center. Once you find center, you now need to make space for that center to really come out and for this inner knowing to actually pop out. You'll find it in this kind of blurry image here. And it looks like a blurry image, but it's actually the photo of the reflection in a lake of the mountains in the background. But it presents a pattern. So if you kind of semi-close your eyes and look at it, what patterns are you seeing? There's definitely some patterns here. I'm seeing avalanche slopes and I'm seeing, pathways. It's really, really fascinating. image, and also the grass that I'm standing on that's in, the proper way while I look at the upside down mountain. And sometimes looking at a mountain from upside down gives you new insights into the strength of that mountain, that image, and so on. So when everything gets louder, it's not about doing less, it's about noticing more and making space to notice more by understanding the noise that's in the way and then figuring out how the noise can fade into the background and let it blur so that you can actually hear the clarity within your inner voice that is actually telling you what's going on in all the different patterns. So the world teaches us to think faster, to focus. And few people learn to notice better, to leverage something that I've heard called diffuse awareness. This is something that is a built-in part of our human DNA. It's not as recognized or as promoted as focusing, um, mostly because it's typically a feminine quality. And we women, we have this. We can't raise a baby and make dinner at the same time by focusing on one thing at a time. It's never going to work. So we have this thing called diffuse awareness, where, you're in the middle of working on something in the kitchen and you hear a noise in the living room, or um, for me, I'm hearing my cat, you know, offer up a fur ball. But it's unmistakable, and I know that I have to look at what I'm doing right now and go and deal with the furball, and make sure that cat's okay, as well as make sure that dinner is moving along and getting done. So it's diffuse awareness. If I was just focused on the meal, I couldn't do this. Also, in preparing a meal, it is, there's um, the main part of the meal. There's the side, there's the vegetables, there's all of the different component pieces. And you may have, a fry pan, something in the oven, something in a boiling pot of water, all to coordinate. And, to focus on any one of them takes away your attention from the others. So having diffuse awareness is noticing what's going on with all of the different component parts even of the single meal. And when we are able to blur that background, when we're able to actually pop the focus, we recognize emerging opportunities, innovative ideas, hidden risks, better decisions, stronger relationships before anyone else does, which is really cool. And not because we know better, but because we're noticing more and we're doing that blurring of the background noise that is always there. You don't have to, it's not going to go away. It's always there, the pings and and so on that are going to happen. And sometimes, clicking into those adds more insights, but doing it in a way that actually keeps um, your mental um, connecting the dots component piece running really well in the background. So, question for you: what opportunities might you discover if you started trusting the patterns you've already been noticing? Because many times we will do this exercise and we will blur the background noises and we will start experiencing something that, no, that's not true. That's not right. That's not who I am. That's not what I want to see. That's not what I want to do. You'll start experiencing things that your subconscious is wanting to tell you, and you'll start dismissing that because you don't trust it. It took me an awfully long time through my career and life journey to actually trust the patterns. And the pattern recognition is a skill in and of itself. And but it's something that we all have. It's not something that brand new um, to anybody. It only takes like maybe 5 minutes to get into that space where these things start popping up. So what is it that's sitting in behind the eyes, in behind what you're thinking, doing, feeling, that is popping out to say, what I'd really like to do in my next move in life is bang. And trusting it, trusting that this is some guidance, your inner guidance, and all of those little subconscious connecting the dots and different data points that are working away to help you actually bring forth that opportunity that will change your life. So this is your inner voice. This is your inner guidance. Maybe it's more like a compass that's guiding you along the way. Record what surfaced from this conversation. Really, really important to journal this and put it in your adventure logbook. It's something that you will lose if you don't actually jot it down because yeah, I don't know how many times in my life I've lost this concept and had to relearn it all over again. It's blurring that noise is not always as easy as just sitting and blurring it, but it is something that will change the way that you learn and the way that you listen and the way that you think. Check out our Wednesday activity. Um, and keep coming back to this one. This one is a really important lesson and completes this week by Friday. We will complete the final week of our first bundle that helps you build resilient, preparing for next big moves in life. And that's the whole purpose of this first series of 3 2-week learning cycles. I'm hoping that you're enjoying the journey along the way and really interested in starting the next bundle that is going to build on what we've created here with your building your resilience and learning, listening, finding patterns, and seeing something different that you may never have even thought of before, but your inner brain, your subconscious has already thought of it. So I can't wait to hear what you are unleashing in terms of your inner brilliance. And I will see you on the flip side next week with a new lesson in a new bundle series that is going to start to blow your mind. So see you on the flip side.